Sanibonani, Dumelang, Absheni. Hello out there once again. It's your boy Akay and the team back again with another episode of seeking practical solutions for practical societal issues. And on this episode, we are actually joined by Ms. Kiamofetu Mampe once again, as we are pleased to continue with our episode of depression and anxiety. This is the part 2 of it, because the first time she was here, we actually did the first episode on season 1. But apart from that, I'll let her again to formally introduce herself, let us know what she's been doing, what she's been up to. And I think by now you know my co-hosts, Mofenyi, that side, and this side, so near me here. So apart from that, let me just give Miss Mampe the platform to actually introduce herself. Yeah.
Hi, how are you guys? Yeah, it's nice to be back.
Welcome.
Welcome back.
Welcome home. Yeah, this is home for real talkers, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So what's been up?
I've been alive. School has had me by my throat.
Choco.
That's a good thing.
Oh no. Yeah, I've been alive. Yeah.
So guys, is there anything like you would like to say to the real talkers before we actually jump into today's episode? Referring to Mr. Mwela and Ms. Maseng on this side.
Hi.
Wow.
I would like to say hi.
Is that it?
Yeah. Because I want to hear what he's going to say, and then, you know.
No, I really have nothing to say.
Feel
Except I'm finally here.
Yeah.
Yay!
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Like, most probably even the real talkers were asking themselves, like,
Yeah,
hey,
who thought he
what
was
did
gone?
you do?
Where were you?
Russia started with the wine, you disappeared, man. You disappeared as soon as the
Everyone
war
thought that I
started.
was actually joining the war against
Yeah.
Russia. No, I was not, guys.
That would have been a win.
I was just extremely occupied. That's all. But
And
other
now we
than that,
understand.
I'm here.
Yeah, so guys, okay, let me not waste any further time and jump straight into the main business of today's episode. But before we do that, let me just remind the real talkers and to our new viewers who are coming to the show for the first time to please hit that subscribe button down there and follow button and like button there and leave us a comment. After all, like, we do feed off your comments. That's how we build our content. But apart from that, we also have a community. It's called Patreon, available on Patreon. It's our official community of real talkers. That's why you can join us. So apart from that, guys, okay, let's jump into today's episode. So like, just to kick off the show, let me just find out from y'all guys, like, what's your understanding, like, your own understanding of depression, like, how do you understand this thing and the role it's playing in society at the moment? Because like, I think we have all seen recently with like how our celebs are also committing suicides, and it's also an issue within high schools apparently, like high school kids also started taking this trend too. So like, what could you say like to someone who doesn't know like what's depression? How do you define it?
Why are you guys looking at me?
Nah, this is not a formal conversation, so I can't
Yeah.
get it like more like it's something formal.
Yeah.
But whoever that's comfortable with like going first, please feel free, guys.
I would like to hear what you have
Everyone
to
is
say.
looking at me. I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
What you
No.
have to say.
And I don't want to say I've missed him. I've missed parts
Oh,
of
she
his
definitely
brain.
missed
No, parts of his brain and how he views things. And
She
so that's what I want to
definitely
hear.
So the devil's advocate is
I don't
back.
know. I don't know. Depression it has become quite a very broad concept in some cases, if not others. There's even there's a game that I used to play on my phone. It's called Encryptions or something like that. But it was referring to cancer, where it says depression is not the side effect of cancer, but depression is the effect of fear of death, and which is a quote from someone. So depression, it's difficult to have a, should I say, dictioned explanation of it. But from my understanding, it's a psychological state, an uncomfortable psychological state.
Yeah.
Because once you're saying the moment you use the word something, decrease, it already indicates that you're not at the best position at that point in time. So I personally think that it's a psychological state that mostly impacts not just the individual, but people around that particular individual. So that's why I'm saying it's pretty broad. I can't explain it in detail, but that's my level of understanding when it comes to depression.
Yeah.
He nailed it.
Yeah, I think it's just we could say it's a certain way of thinking.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a certain way of thinking that will affect the way you behave. It's just like any other thing. I think depression is just given this, I don't know, like you said, it's almost like a trend now, but it's given, So the same way there would be happiness, and happiness is a way of thinking, and happiness is a choice, and happiness is this and that and the other. It's a way of thinking, and it affects how you behave. And same with depression and anxiety, and like you said, it's a state of mind, and where it clouds a lot of judgment in a person's life. And I'd actually like, I'm gonna use my phone. I'd actually like to see.
Go.
What it would be. What the definition would be.
Like the dictionary
Difference.
definition.
But while she's still Googling it, I'm just trying to get clarity here. Are you two basically saying that society in a way has overhyped depression in a general sense?
Have overhyped.
In what sense do you mean overhyped?
Yes.
Is it in
Personally,
the sense
I'll
of
say yes.
trending, or is it
People
in a
don't
way of
really understand
sensitizing people?
this whole thing of depression.
I think it does both.
How so?
For my own personal perspective, from how I've been like observing and listening to people, I've gotten to realize that most people are not actually depressed. It's more of anxiety. They are dealing with anxiety in most cases, and they tend to think that it's depression. Like majority of us here, we are like young adults, and we are dealing with the pressure of worrying. Like you are worrying that what the future has for you in store.
You see, I'm sorry, but this is actually quite frustrating. The meaning of depression. Feelings of severe despondence and dejection. So it is similar to misery, sadness, unhappiness.
True, that's what depression
But unhappiness is sadness, right? I feel like the way depression is being made to see in society is something deeper than just a moment of unhappiness. It's,
Okay.
But here's the issue with regards to depression, and I don't know, maybe you guys will disagree with what I'm saying. People enjoy the attention once they throw the word "I am depressed." I'm saying this on a personal level because I can't believe I'm saying this. I used to date someone
Who had
Okay.
self-diagnosed.
Wait. Technically, she didn't have depression.
Is it self-diagnosed?
Later on, upon analyzing the entire thing, I then realized that it was just an outcry for attention. Because I remember talking to a couple of friends. I was going through a rough patch during that relationship, and she posted on her WhatsApp status, "I am depressed." One of my friends said, "Dude, are you really that naive?
Yeah.
If she really was depressed, she wasn't going to put it on her WhatsApp status."
Yeah.
Because people who are depressed have a tendency of isolating themselves and being antisocial for that particular moment away from people, because the last thing they want to hear is, "Are you okay?"
Why are you depressed?
You don't even want to talk about it.
You don't even want to talk about it. Exactly.
It's the same as Akay put it, to say
It's
that
a trend.
people can't differentiate between anxiety and how depression is. So once people learn to understand the difference between the two, then we can understand what depression is, how it looks like, because some people want to see how depression looks like, of which for me it's an absurd thing to do, and how anxiety is. Anxiety is basically, let me just put it, it's fear.
Right.
It's extreme fear
But
of
it's
how
fear of-
things are going to come into
No,
life.
fear of the unknown. Not how they are, but
But
of
of-
not knowing.
Yes, but depression, it's you literally don't want anything to do with anyone's existence, including yourself. Basically, you just don't want anything but to be in that moment, and then hopefully, like, you make it out.
But no, I don't think so. Personally, like what you said, right? So I've seen a lot of times, and I've had friends that actually enjoy being sad. People enjoy this.
Yeah, they do.
That's the thing. Even, I could say there was a season where I was like, yeah, because I was friends with people who were
Right.
in that,
Right.
space in their lives. And
It's called
unfortunately,
emo, I think.
Yeah.
the whole,
Yeah.
it's a community and everything.
Yeah.
But I believe that with depression, right?
Check out
Wow.
So,
I didn't know.
depression, what did you know?
about emos. You
That's
know those
My baby brother
Gothics?
actually,
yeah, like
there's
they call them gothic, like
Is it like
But
another
no.
version of Gothic? The one that doesn't do it.
like they just prefer, those dark colors, always being
You wanna
sad,
be blue.
Oh,
sad
so that,
music.
misery. Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, that's what depression is, misery, the feeling of, this,
If you
that,
watch
and the other.
Architectures, that chick who uses
Raven.
Yeah, Raven.
Yeah.
Fave.
Everyone is gorgeous. But anyway, so, yes, as I was saying, people who, another thing that we're supposed to pay attention to is how many people are self-diagnosed,
Right.
depressed,
Right.
right? Because
Yeah.
depression, I think you have to go through certain phases and then
They are symptoms.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And then they would say you're depressed.
Right.
But now we have a lot of people that they say, I'm depressed. Yeah,
Right.
no, I'm depressed. We don't even know why or how it came about. No one diagnosed it, and so no one can really heal.
Can I say something? Can I just say
Yeah.
something? As a person that was diagnosed of it,
Yeah.
right? Some people like to hide behind the fact that they might be depressed, but we're out there smiling. I think that's what we called a coping mechanism. So people are flinching between that and them using it as a form of way to seek attention. As how he says that no one will post or whatever. But there's some people that feel like, if I don't say something now, it's going down. That's how therapists like to put it, to say, sort of create your own form of mechanism. Or if you feel like it's going down at that moment, tell whoever. At that time they choose a WhatsApp status or a Facebook post or something.
Yeah, but it's one thing. I understand where you're coming from. It's one thing to post you're depressed, and then 2 days later you're posting yourself holding booze in your hand and drinking and dancing to
Alcohol
a
is
certain
not a
type of
coping
music.
mechanism.
To them it is.
You understand?
To others it is.
Because we need to before you get into this, we need to understand that there are certain things that come with depression, as you said, self-diagnosis and being professionally diagnosed with depression. And for an example, men have this general sense that whenever things aren't going well, they're just going to run to the nearest bottle of alcohol.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And it's no longer a gender-based thing that men are now running to that. It's now becoming
Alcohol.
a general thing.
Yeah.
So we need to understand that depression, it's just one thing to say it, but it's difficult to diagnose it. Much less self-diagnosing yourself with depression.
Because you look up symptoms.
Let me just ask here,
Yeah.
someone who's been okay, and I think majority of us, like speaking for myself,
Right.
now I've been there, like at that point,
Right.
and I even went to see like psychologists,
Yeah.
Yeah.
therapy sessions. I started attending those things 2019, yeah, like that. So like I just want to find out for like, okay, since Kia, like you've been in that possession and you were diagnosed, like before you went for the diagnosis, how were you feeling? Because I feel like those are the symptoms that could actually be used to actually diagnose maybe depression.
I mean, it's the general symptoms that everyone else can self-diagnose themselves, because I think we look it up on Google. And
Yeah.
yay.
Like, why have I been having a headache? For the
Yeah,
past
oh,
week?
it's
You're done.
migraine.
Yeah.
You're done.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get excited about
So here's how it was. At first, I didn't self-diagnose myself.
Okay.
It's just the people around me. I'm very fortunate with my family and the close friends that I had. Because when I found out that I was having a baby, that's where it started being very much there. Because most of the time I would spend it at home. You understand? I didn't even, most of the times I wouldn't even do your own self-care, whatever. I just, as long as I woke up, sometimes I felt like I shouldn't even wake up. And then when I was diagnosed, this is how I figured Tony. If I got pregnant at this time where now everyone is talking about it and I could take like a snippet from that one's symptoms and patch it to the ones that I have, and doing that, I would literally self-diagnose. But the way they diagnose you, it's totally different. It's more of a psychological test. Like
psychometric test.
you literally have to sit there and they would ask you, so why do you think you're depressed? What makes you think that you're depressed? What did you see to think that you're depressed? And honestly, like you said, most of the times it's anxiety. They're just like, no, it's just anxious.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that and everything. But when it's depression and they diagnose you, now that's something different. Yeah.
Be quiet.
What do you want me
No,
to
be quiet.
say? It.
No, I'll be quiet. We'll get to the point that I would want to say. But I also believe that a lot of the depression is, I had this conversation with my sister, is hormonal imbalances within a person, right? Because like you said, you were spending more time in the house and. But like we've learned and the information that we've received, to treat a person's body or a person like you would treat a flower. If you keep a flower enclosed in a room, it will die, right? Exactly. But if you take a flower out and you water it and you take care of it and that would that would help the flower bloom, right? So that's why I would say it's a hormonal imbalance, it's a state of mind. And there are people that are born very differently. Fortunately, I believe that I was born with I was headstrong, right? Yeah, no, I mean,
Yes.
no.
God.
But like also,
Surviving guy.
it kind of helped influence the emotions as well, right? So it would be very difficult for anyone to sway me into believing anything.
Okay.
I would always have to question, right? Like when the notion of dropped out of school, now be dumb rich, right? Every teenage person thought, yeah, that's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna drop out of school, I'm gonna be a rapper, and I'm gonna make it. That's what will happen. And then when the notion of depression came into play, and it was pushed a lot by social media, the media, it was pushed and pushed and pushed, and now everyone is depressed.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly. All of a sudden, everyone is depressed and everyone wants to kill themselves.
Exactly.
Except the fact that everyone goes through a certain season of their lives,
And-
right? You go through a season of things not going well,
Right.
of rejection, and people deal with it differently. Some people, you stomach it, you don't talk about it until you literally explode. Some people, you deal with it because, maybe that's how you work around it. Some people read, and so you understand, okay, I'm feeling this way because of that. When you are self-aware, you are able to see, well, okay, I'm having a bit of a sad moment. It's not a sad life, it's a sad day. It's not a sad week, it's not a sad month. You understand what I mean? But not a lot of people are self-aware.
Yeah.
And so people would be swayed into believing that there is a certain thing, whereas that's not even the case.
Right.
It's just you've had a very great life and a horrible week.
But
And that week
Can I back
could
up
influence a
about
person to literally take their own lives, because when something bad happens, they good all their life and then they do one bad thing.
Right.
And society forgets all the good
Yeah.
and they focus on the one bad.
thing.
That's what a person does as well.
Right.
You would have had an amazing week and one horrible day. And that one day could cause you to commit suicide.
Right.
Just that one day
Right.
where things didn't go your way. And so I believe that people need to be more self-aware and really question things a bit more than just going for and with. Because honestly,
This is and this goes back to the question that I asked, which is depression being overhyped by society?
yes.
And she asked the question of, in the sense of sensitizing,
Yeah.
or is it mostly based on just
Trend.
Yeah, let's look at, for instance, let's look at how depression trends whenever there's a celeb who has committed suicide.
Can I say something?
And it only trends for like a couple of days.
Yeah, and then
For
it's
instance, let's take a look at Ricky's death. And he committed suicide, it was fine. Like when he went to Twitter, like, guys, depression is real.
No. Why are you taking
And then
it
after a week,
let's take it to Jabba. Let's take it to double A.
yeah, but when
Let's go with it. Those when he did it, like we had a whole scenario of what happened before, what led him to there. Was he vocal about it? I didn't know Ricky Rick was
you know, sometimes in China, like it's something I've realized, and I think we all encountered it, that when sometimes we talk about our feelings, sometimes you start telling me about your problems too, baby. I'm coming like, yo, dog, I feel down. And then someone also like, dog, I also had a bad day. And I'm trying to vent maybe.
This is the same thing I said. You tell a person that I'm depressed. The next person, you give me the information, fine. What am I supposed to do with the information after? People don't know what to do with that.
Sometimes you just need to listen. I don't even need solutions. You just need to listen. But instead of you being there listening.
What is a pessimist? I want to say we live with a lot of pessimists. It just sounds like the perfect word for someone who is self-centered. But we live with people who are unable to listen to what you're saying without making it about me, right?
Yeah.
It's like you tell me, oh my God, or you say, you know what, I've had a horrible week. I'm sad, I feel alone. I'm like, wow, but I'm here. I'm not listening to what you're saying. Like, I'm sad. Now I'm going to turn it and make it about myself, as opposed to
That's true.
giving you an ear and saying, really, oh my God, I'm so sorry, tell me more. Or just being quiet and listening to the way you want to be listened to. Because some people want to tell you things and they don't need you to say anything.
You will always give that person a therapist.
I guess I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah.
I understand the point that you're coming from. For the mere fact that people actually want to talk more about their problems than to listen to other people's problems, it just explains the should I say, the gap and problems that we face in society on a general sense.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, at what point would people start evaluating a person when they start telling you about their problems as to whether this person brought these problems onto themselves, or whether this person, maybe these problems came to that person in a coincidence or something like that. I'll make an example. Whenever my girlfriend tells me or complains about something, I tell her straight up, I'm like, okay, so maybe let's say she had an argument with D-Sets or something like that, and it ended sour. And I'm like, okay, so what did she say that was so provoking? And then she'll tell me, and then it'll be like, and what did you say that was so provoking to her? Yeah. Now, an honest person would reflect and realize that, okay, I may have been wrong in certain things that I've said towards D-Sets, but now people are altering the entire conversation to make it their truth.
Obviously.
And that alone just puts you in another position of depression. Because by the time you start meeting up with D-Sets once again, D-Sets was the last person you want to see.
Everyone, yeah.
Everyone
Everyone is a hero when
saying?
They tell the story.
Exactly.
They're
Never
the victim.
Exactly.
Exactly. Everyone, that's everyone's story.
And that's where I personally think depression is starting to root itself in. You're not just lying to other people, but you're lying to yourself so much, and you're repeating the same lie over and over again to yourself, to convince yourself that I'm always the victim here, because everybody's now carrying this victim mentality.
Yeah.
And by the time you start meeting other people in society, now you're triggering this anxiety that already is, should I say, a side effect towards what you already have, which is depression.
Yeah.
So the big question is, when celebrities, because you're starting to mention celebrities now, when celebrities are either diagnosed or have been through depression or something like that, the big question is this really talked about in a general sense or in a deeper sense? But instead what happens is, this artist has passed on or committed suicide, suspicions that this artist committed suicide, but the family likes to keep it private and all these things and so on and so forth, but not realizing that at least giving away certain information might help society in general in healing from certain problems. Because right now, depression is as much of a trend as suicide is in our society and in our generation.
The influence.
What's your take on suicide? Why you're still on it?
You know, personally, I feel like this.
On that one.
I personally feel like this might sound wrong, hate me if you will, but I feel
I'm no
that
longer the devil's advocate today.
I believe anxiety, depression, suicide, those are, hate me if you will, I will say this, but I feel like those are the oppressive ways now to deal with people, because everyone's so emotionally sensitive now. Like, damn, I can't go through a sad day. Like, if I go through something sad, I'm depressed. That's not the case. I remember listening to this Buddhist guy, and he said there's never a good or a bad thing that happens. There's always a thing. It's how you choose to see it that determines what it is, right? And he says, when I go through something bad, it's a lesson, so it can't be bad. It's good, it's for my benefit. When they say the universe and the world is for you, that's what they mean. It will teach you a lesson. And so that's why they talk about things like healing from traumas and. If you hold on to something long enough, it will be a trauma experience. And so you will need a lot of work to work through something. But if something is a lesson and you see it as only that, then you take away its power completely. So if you see experiences as just experiences before you title it as bad, before you title it as depression, and you have the power. As much as you have the power to say, I will love this person, you also have the power to say, nah, I'm done. I won't do that anymore. So if you are, with suicide and all of that, it's very frustrating. Because it's affecting teenagers now and they're into it and they're all doing that. And it's very frustrating because I just feel like it's so much better of, population doing. It's a better key now than Corona even. Yeah, like now it's better because people are just taking their own lives. So it's fine. We don't even have to. You know, I just think that I don't know, I don't get it. I think people need to be headstrong. But even when you are young, be young. Banbakali, I'm not doing this sake. They would ask for help.
I don't support.
You understand?
Like that's like after Ricky's death, someone on Chicha was like, people who are going through mental health issues.
Yeah.
When they commit suicide, it means that they have tried everything. So they are giving up. Like, it's something I don't
No, wait.
Everyone's going through a mental issue, just by the way.
Wait.
Every single person on this earth.
Here's my take on suicide.
No,
I understand. As a person who's been through that route, it's a lot when you have to wake up every morning. And now it's a year, you feel this way when you see other people happy next to you, but you just
what are you doing?
You just going through. Some people, I would also like to some people are comfortable being depressed.
It goes back to the point that I was
Some people are comfortable being depressed, having all these like PTSD, like all of these like some people love, and sometimes it frustrates me. And then now because I don't get it now that we find, okay, you're actually not depressed, you just want attention. They resort to being, let me take a road. You're there. You understand what I'm
saying? I'm feeling so like I hingile ka thabo one of those baby faces. Nka o tloelanyana ntilo e batla go ntsha lesepa ranya. Just for you to get the lesson. Like legit.
I would just say I understand why people.
If you do that, right? If you like someone at the giant, you're like, I'm gonna leave you just for a few moments. When you go and you help them and they survive, now it's a traumatic experience. They watched you not try to help them while they were trying to kill themselves.
But the fact is that he or she will have learned the lesson with the
They won't. There's always something. There's always something.
But and I'd like to interject on this. Yeah. This entire statement of suicide, I personally think as though in this world right now we live in a world where almost every single thing has a solution to it.
Exactly.
The problem is, and it goes back to what Tiseso was saying, and also a WhatsApp status that you posted, I think was it yesterday or the day before yesterday, where you posted about a cameraman and you said that if a cameraman does not find a good picture in this particular point, they readjust where they're standing. So how you think of something and how you see something, it depends on whether it's a good thing or a bad thing. Now, the problem about suicide is that it's also something that's being overhyped, and it's now becoming the absolute solution to problems. Right. And now, I can't believe that I'm going to be a devil's advocate today. I actually intended to behave. I don't understand why. But here's the point that I was trying to make. A popular individual takes their life.
Yeah.
All the followers that he has, and mind you, not just followers, committed followers.
Yeah.
For an example, when I was at work, one lady showed me a picture of Rihanna, and she was wearing just this black jacket on, and then she was showing her belly and so on and so forth. And she was like,
I like that.
But what is Rihanna thinking? Is it winter there in the States? Because it's still summer here, it's winter. So how does she cope in actually walking around? I was like, you need to understand, you need to look at this from a far bigger picture than this, which is there are people out there that are idolizing this person.
Yeah.
Some people would even go as far as being like telling their boyfriends, today we are making a baby. Because Rihanna's pregnant.
Yeah. That's the influence.
You understand what I'm saying? Now, when that happens and a popular artist or a popular individual takes their life, how many people now is this thing being embedded in their minds or ingrained in their minds that suicide is the solution to my problems if nothing happens?
Okay, can I just ask a question to everyone here on the table? I just want to ask, okay, sorry to our white viewers, but I'm taking it back to black people. Do you guys believe that depression, anxiety, suicide could also be affected or influenced by spirituality?
Yeah, I do.
I mean,
I believe
Define spirituality.
Spirituality is
it's on a general basis. I believe it is.
spirituality in every way. Because I remember I was watching this guy, I forgot like a man, and he is just so smart, and I hate that I forgot because I can't find him online. But he was talking about how we are in the South, but we are using, we are using another, I forgot.
Is it the North?
I think the North, we are using their ways of, saying, no, not religion, like even the way we have our star signs is misaligned.
Okay.
And so he will say, you will be depressed, you will have this and that, because so many things we're not aligned with. When we celebrate New Year's,
You're actually right.
when we celebrate New Year's, it's already too late. Because when we celebrate New Year's, it's already time for winter to come into play.
Right.
And so when summer comes in, which is in September, I think, that's when you're supposed to celebrate, because that's when it begins. And so you are unable to manifest anything if you celebrate you understand? So they were talking about how we as black people are so not aligned.
There's this term they use, retrograde.
Yeah.
Everything. You know, like they'll tell you like, oh, it's a Mercury retrograde. I'm feeling down. Like,
It's Pisces season right now.
Yeah, something like it has to do with the moon energy.
Yes,
you know, there are some people who are like that. So, like, sometimes.
So when you talk about spiritual, because I don't want to put Christianity into it, because Christianity is so offensive to so many people. So we're just gonna put spirituality
in a general sense
on its own, and the impact that it has. I believe that I've seen a lot of people that have been depressed and I've seen some of the reasons why. But I only see, I can't say, because I can't or anything. But I would understand why you would behave the certain way that you behave. And also looking at the family dynamic within the black demographic, it's already so hectic, right? Because there are so many absent fathers. The absent fathers, the kids have descending, and in the ancestral realm, already there's a battle for why are our grandkids not taking Sefanesaro. And so, and so on and so on. And so many things are happening so much deeper into just a person in this world. And so you would think, if we were to, I always like to say going back is such an important thing, because we're so westernized that we don't know a lot of things about the Western way of living. And remember, even Bona, they don't show us everything. They just show us like just a little bit.
Yeah,
They feed you just a little bit here and there, and then we adapt that, forgetting our own roots, and that also becomes a thing that could influence, us and dictate how we live, and then it will dictate so many other things. You will feel sad if unanyiko, but you know nothing about it, right? Because you are not so aligned with yourself, you will feel sad, you will feel this. Like when I learned about a full moon and what the vibrations, the vibrations of a full moon are so heightened, right? That's where the wolf it's at its most powerful form, and that is just when the universe is at its most powerful form. And sometimes for women, I've experienced. I don't know if if you've paid attention, but with a full moon, I would become so emotional and but I have to change.
Women.
Yeah,
women in most cases.
They can become so fragile, so funny.
Yeah, but you have to change. That's the thing. The moment you see it's a full moon and then you become pulled over to the sad side, you have to change that. Because if you don't, then you're going to manifest that vibration, right? So the minute you learn, when the moon is full and I am able to attract or manifest things during that season, you will not be sad, like fall into that side. You would rather focus more on the positive, because then you'll be able to manifest the positive. If you implement things that you learn, because we are such an information generation, but implementing things, we are people that know, but you can't say we don't implement. We know, but we don't. Exactly.
But
and I feel like that's also part
That's
of
why our parents till today they don't understand this whole thing of depression.
That's what.
And you told your grandmother that I'm depressed, and they're like, they understand. No, not in that sense.
Exactly.
Not in that sense. It's them being ignorant. I'm saying, how are you depressed when I taught you how to go down and do this? How are you depressed
It all
when?
goes back to a point I once made on one of our episodes when it comes to our parents, such things. It's up to us to teach them. Because our parents,
What should I give you, my mom?
they grew up in an era where, like, how can I say it? These terms were not there. You know, when someone was said, maybe for instance, a man, if a man was said back then in the days, I knew, automatically, okay, let me take the kettle out just for a store, maybe.
Because it was sad.
You said word.
The problem is now people are depressed. They have fancy terms now.
You know,
and
let's
that's
look
the
at
problem.
when our parents fight, like usually at home and there.
Yeah.
When they fight, they'll fight and maybe get inside the car and leave.
Yeah.
To go and cool down,
Yeah.
gather their thoughts, reflect.
Not in my home.
Yes,
It's never gonna
Majority
happen.
of houses.
But
You ain't going into no goddamn
here's where it gets tricky, which is, if our parents were actually behaving in such a way whenever you're like, maybe you're saying, time out, I'm depressed. Or specifically moms, I can't say much about theirs, but
Depression away something.
and you're like, oh, so you're depressed. Okay, clean the house.
Depressed them dishes.
Check it out.
I
I
understand that you're depressed,
But the house needs to be
Keep your house busy.
You have to
Depressed them
busy.
dishes.
So it makes me wonder, and it goes back to you mentioning the Western world.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that. To should I say the Caucasian
Yeah.
race, which is the moment our parents react in that term. That means, is it possible that they might have found a solution to dealing with their own form of depression?
It's a coping mechanism, actually. It's a
Because
coping mechanism.
here's where it gets tricky.
Yeah.
And correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
There are people out there who would, let me say, if they are sad or pissed, or let's just say sad in general, rather than just going out and expressing how they feel, they rather clean the house.
Yeah.
Or do chores or
Yeah,
something like
away.
that.
Something to
It's
take
because
over.
they're
It's
trying
not
to.
running away.
They are keeping themselves
It's a
busy
coping
outside.
It's rather
It's not a coping mechanism,
It's
guys.
it.
They are dealing with the thing. That's how they
Exactly.
deal with it. It's not a coping
Like for
mechanism.
instance, when I feel down,
Okay,
I
wait,
want
but-
to take a walk.
It's not a coping mechanism. I've seen
But you
it.
have to talk about it.
No.
No, wait.
I'm gonna talk about
Let me
it.
finish. what the psychologist will tell you. You have to talk about
But
it.
that's their job.
You are not talking about it.
If-
you are dealing with it, what it does, you are using a coping
If
mechanism
I don't
to
talk
deal
about
with
it, psychologists don't get paid. Do you get what I'm saying?
Okay.
If I don't go to a psychologist and pay you and start talking, then you don't get paid. But what am I comfortable with, right? Am I preferring of cleaning the house? When personally, my room is
Okay.
Same here.
room yaka highly clean. Listen, you can't tell me anything, okay?
Right.
That's because that's energy. Do you understand what I mean? It's a psychological thing. So it's energy as well. Declutter your spaces and watch what happens to a person mentally
Because-
and in the physical world.
And here's what I'm getting at, which is the moment these people put themselves in such a predicament, they start asking themselves these questions, which is, okay, I personally, I don't know whether it's therapeutic or not. I for one, have dealt with depression in the past, and it so happened that every time when I felt depressed, I was antisocial, preferred to distance myself,
Yeah.
and I preferred to deal with my problems in my own way.
At your own time.
Why is that? It's primarily because I'm a person I'm proud. I have
Asking
pride.
for help.
Asking for help, it's extremely difficult. I would rather help you with your scars, even though I have scars on my back,
Yeah.
than to actually deal with mine.
Here's the thing, let me tell you something about me. You know, after 2018, like when I came back, one of my appeal conditions was that I had to go and see like a therapist. You know, when I went there, I did attend and I tried attending. When I went there, like I think after day 2 or 3, when I came out there, I was like, I'm not coming back here. Like,
Why?
Why? What happened?
because, you know, I think it's a conversation we had earlier on. I don't know. We were talking about it like to buy, especially with like public facilities, like
Okay.
you know those.
Yeah.
Like those
Oh,
people don't actually take their job seriously when you are there. You know, you can be there telling them their problems, and they'll be like, "I have faith." Or they just bring a student there, like for you, like someone who's not like a student. And then now, for me, like that was not the case. For me, it's more like, okay, these are things I'm going through. These things I can deal with them on my own because automatically I'm not someone going through when I'm going through something I can be there like, yo, I need help.
Yeah.
I just started finding like coping mechanisms that worked towards my favor, which is whenever I feel down, I know I'm gonna roll up a J, maybe for instance, take a walk after smoking and just feel like the beauty of Kasinji. When I come back, I'm okay.
Can I say something? Here's what my therapist said. You see these ones that pay big bucks.
Yeah.
He said,
How?
I'm sorry, I'm
Oh,
joking.
those private ones.
I'm joking, yeah.
Miss
Here's what my
Rose
therapist
over
said. He said, treat me like you are in the confession booth in the church. Here's what he said. You can come in the session and tell me whatever it is, like vent.
Whatever you are feeling.
Vent. When you leave this door, set your mind in the manner of saying, what I'm going to do outside, I'm going to deal with this head on, so that I don't have to come back again with the same issues. Like, you know. Yeah, because it doesn't make sense. You come here, let me talk. Tomorrow,
Well,
same
the
problem,
same
just in a
problem.
different tone. The following day, but like in a manner of saying, here's what I was saying. If people started to feel bad or let's say depressed people start cleaning everything, they are dealing with it using a coping
Yeah,
mechanism.
because I also meditate
Way.
sometimes. You know, like sometimes, like you said, like usually, like become distant. That's something I do. I think Daniel, that's I can also tell you. Like whenever I'm down. Like basically, I don't want to be around people. That's me. Like I just want to be by myself.
But that's not depression.
Yeah, sometimes I'm just feeling down.
Let's
I've mastered the art of coping with my depression. That's no longer depression. It's just that whenever I feel like I'm about to go back there. You know, like that's how it starts. Like you being down, those things of like low self-confidence, such things, you know.
You know what's weird? I went when I was in varsity. I had a life coach. The varsity had a life coach.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So the life coach is life
You
coach.
trust these people.
So the life coach was also like a psychologist. So this guy, I went to him. So he's like, yeah, I'm here to listen. I'm like, to what? Right? I didn't know what the hell was going on. You're a life coach. Tell me what to do in my life. That's your job. Because that's what I thought. So this guy's like, no, tell me about you. And then I tell him. He's like, okay, no, tell me something else. What is one thing that's always made you sad right? Now I had to sit and think, like, damn, okay.
Wow.
That makes sense. Like, damn. No, there wasn't. There were things that I've went through in my life, and that was that.
But you dealt with them.
Yeah, like, no, that's my past. I can't control it. I don't have any power over those things. They happen. It's my
It's
past.
like he's a life coach. How does he
So fine. I'm like, damn, okay. Now I started thinking of a childhood memory. Now I'm 10 years, right? And I start crying. Like, yeah, damn, this thing, it hurt me, you know?
So he literally had to go to archives to get a set
I'm like,
moment.
damn, this thing hurt me. But then I'm like, I don't want to go to this guy anymore. I remember even telling a teacher, I don't know what they call him.
Lecture.
A lecture. No, dean, the dean of students. I told him, I was like, you know what? I don't want to go to this guy anymore. I don't see how beneficial this is for me. I have to talk about things from my past that
Public facility.
are no longer, you know,
I know good.
I don't understand why we
I know a
are
bunch
doing
of good public servants that know their job and
You know,
like they just help people out here, honestly speaking.
I personally
I
don't.
think the problem lies here. Like we have watched a lot of movies where like people are going to like psychologists, and when
That's the expectation.
yeah, when we go there, we go with those expectations. Like when you get there, you're just gonna throw your back down
Like
on the
relationships.
couch. Yeah.
Like relationships in
You
movies.
are depressed, you go into a session with expectations. What's the guy?
You
Sorry
need
for
to-
laughing.
You need to understand this, which is whenever you go to a psychologist in general, with whatever it is that you're carrying, you're hoping that you either find a solution to your problem, or the solution to your problem will be solved the moment you walk out of that door.
Yeah.
One
Yes,
of
but
two
you
things.
need to live with that burden.
Right. Now it becomes a problem because I don't know, should I say it's moments like these where certain things with regards to psychologists in a general sense need to be, should I say, disbanded or be found useless. I'm sorry for saying this, but should be found useless primarily because you're dealing with a human being. You're dealing with someone. Take note, I'm working within the health department and everything, right? I remember one time where we actually went to a psychiatric hospital. And I've always wanted this one particular thing, which is
Nice.
no, apart from that, in a psychiatric hospital. So when I arrived at a psychiatric hospital, my mind was like, Uklanya, isn't it contagious? Firstly, I don't understand. You understand? Like for example, you're gonna see a crazy person and no. Like for example, you're gonna see a crazy person and then you're gonna be like, so this is going to be my new normal of actually seeing crazy people on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And what you are now programming in your mind as normal is going to be abnormal to your society.
Yeah.
So I asked this guy who I was going with, and I was like, don't these people get
Yeah.
and they're like, that is why there are things like LEAF and debriefing programs or wellness programs specifically designed for these people.
Yeah.
So it becomes a problem when
Wait, why are we classifying them as these people? Like it's concerning to.
They
Can't we
are
find like a nicer
special.
word to just because like these.
okay,
You see, this is
special-
exactly what we mean.
special people.
No.
No.
That's
That's
not.
all that.
When Mufemi said these people, the intention wasn't to be.
Yeah.
But because we live in the society that does
Oh,
that,
okay,
right? If you say these people, like, damn, you doing that, like, no.
Okay.
And it's like, I'm not
Right.
even saying, I'm just classifying.
Right,
It's-
and,
yeah.
and as time goes on, they're like, so it's moments like these. So you are a human, approaching a human, telling them about your problems when they have their own. Instead of it, now it goes back to this thing of talking about problems and finding a therapeutic way of dealing with your problems. We haven't even gone to depression yet.
Something on WhatsApp where I was like, before you vent to me, ask me if I'm free. I once posted that.
Yeah, you remember when we had our first segment and you said that?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And now it goes back to this, which is there are people out there that, should I say, depression comes with a lot of expression. Some people feel as though whenever they're depressed, they want to cry.
Yeah.
Others become short-circuited, like extremely short-tempered.
Yeah.
And there are people that use therapeutic ways in saying, okay, so you seem very angry and all
What's
these things
wrong?
about your problems and so on and so forth. So of asking them what's wrong, you would take them to, I don't know, a panel beater and give them a hammer and goggles
And
and
they just release.
you're like,
Correct.
I
your
think my
thing.
therapist would do that
and
to
you would hit to your satisfaction because it's something that you can break but that wouldn't cry back. It's something that wouldn't want to retaliate to what you're feeling and all these things. And people would start to feel better because of it is a therapeutic process that they went through. But instead of us focusing on the therapeutic process of what people are going through, we rather focus on the process, which is not helping the situation but worsens it. I don't know if I'm making sense.
You're making sense.
So that's why I'm saying we need to understand whenever they are hyping depression, is it in a sense of educating?
No.
Or is it in a sense that
Attention.
just know that something like this exists,
It's a 50-50.
but without like
Yes.
It's a
solution?
50-50.
For instance, if this thing was actually being taken serious, this whole thing for depression and anxiety, you know, each and every community should actually be having like 3 maybe mental health facilities or 2.
No, but then we don't live in
We
a
do.
world.
We
Oh,
actually
someone
do have.
We
actually
live.
do have,
No, we live in a
facilities.
world.
We actually do have.
We live in a
okay.
world where pads are sold and condoms are free. Whereas
Right.
periods are not a choice,
It's a
but
choice.
sex is. But you know, you have to pay for your
Right.
pads. So we don't live in a world like that. We live in a world where it's all about profit. And so you don't benefit me by wanting me to give you free service. How the hell is that going to help me? That's the society we live in, unfortunately.
But-
and so now people are also get exposed to drugs, antidepressants, and then you become dependent on so many other things.
But it goes back to what I was saying, which is
There's other ways. There's other ways you can sway about it. Hence, I'm saying, it's also like oh God, I don't want it to sound this way, but yeah, target market situation, right?
Okay.
Right. The people that are okay taking antidepressant because
Yeah.
they make them fall down.
Yeah.
I've been on them, not nice. It makes them fall down.
Yeah.
Okay.
But if you are prone to say, okay, my therapist says I must find the same way you did with the life coach, you were like, I might be going through a lot, I might not even understand certain things,
Yeah.
but this is not gonna work for me.
I wasn't going through anything, just to be clear.
Yeah,
That
but
guy made me feel
yeah,
like
but
I
what I'm saying is
was,
that the fact that at some point you had a reason why you attended, you went to a life coach.
The school forced me.
No,
the school said it's mental.
Okay, fine. Let's
It's
create a
mental.
hypothetical scenario here.
Oh, okay.
Let's say you were like, okay, cool. I want to be this person. I want to be that. I want to be that. But
Yeah.
I just need someone to actually
Help guys.
help guide or narrow it down to say, but this is the type of person you are. This is what you believe in, what you stand in, and what you just listed. There's only one thing you can actually go for,
Yeah.
and is aligned with you, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So for the fact that you were like, no, this life coach is not going to work for me. It's the same thing that I said to the therapist that prescribed me antidepressant. I was like, this make me fall down. I want to deal with this head on because I know that it could be a chronic disease, illness, not disease, sorry, illness. So I don't want it to be something that I have to depend on them because they're not nice.
Yeah.
I just don't like taking pills.
Yeah.
So I went to a person that knew and understood to say, I'm not going to give you any prescription. And if you want to do this, if you have anger issues, we'll take you, he can say boxing or whatever that has to do with physical and you getting violent and everything so you can get it out, or he will tell you straight that use me as a venting a session, vent, say whatever it is that you need to say. And he will ask you that, do you want solutions or you just want me to listen? That's the first thing that he will ask you every time you get into a session. It matters not that you are new to the session that you attend or not.
And also, but with the venting thing that you were talking about, we have people that use us, guys. You know, there are people that only see you as only good for
as a
venting.
venting
Yeah,
machine.
and also not depressed.
Venting
What's
machine.
wrong with that? Like, we're not depressed, alright?
Then tell the person you
No,
know.
exactly, guys.
Lots
No,
of people in my
you have
life.
to stop being. Akan was saying, can I just say that he gave me very crappy advice, right? Because he's the one that posted, whenever someone sees me as the only person that can help them, I see it as a compliment. And I said, what? I don't want that. Because that's how a lot of people see me. And I don't like that.
Now,
I
when
don't
it
want
comes to
happen.
dating, it's a different story.
Ah,
I
yeah.
meant to like you taking advantage of.
But
like, the
even
things
that,
I'm doing.
right?
If
Some
the person
people.
is comfortable to talking to you and telling you what, like it says, it should say for you. You are, you just. I just love the fact that you're listening to me. You one in a million that is listening to me.
I think here's the part
I
that
wanna
annoys
cuss.
Tisetso the most, which is she
Use
is she, apart from Kuyuza
like,
Moto,
stop saying that.
apart from
Stop saying
Kuyuza
that.
Moto, I don't know, but I
It's
guess this is
wrong.
my take because I'm practically in her shoes most of the time. There are people that always come to me and tell me,
I
"Dude,
think
here's the
it's-
problem,
Everyone
this
at
is
this
what it is,
table has
so
been
Yeah.
through that.
Now, there was a time in my mind where I was like, and I think this is what frustrates her the most, which is people are coming to me
Yeah.
When do I go?
and express how they feel just so that they can get a solution that's practical for them with regards to the problems that they have. But I don't remember going to these people and asking them for advice and solutions to the problems that they
It's
have.
not their fault that you don't want to go
You
back
know,
and
it's a
ask
question.
them.
No, it's not about
Hey.
you not going. It's rather, listen, it's more about, and I don't want
Put
to
your
use this
question
word,
like this.
substance.
You know how your question is more like
Exactly.
a healer.
It's more, yes, it's
Let's
more
look
about,
at the healer. Where do healers go when they need to be healed?
To
Because
other
they are the
healers.
ones
To other
who are
healers.
who are actually like healing.
No,
Usually.
mine wasn't even that. I just feel that people are very self-centered.
The issue-
And the fact that you're gonna come and cry depression is actually very wrong. A lot of people do that when they come, they vent, they
They're
do
quick.
whatever. But
Now,
whenever
some
things
people
are
just
now
want to
good,
be emotional.
right?
Mm.
They don't even come to you and say, "Oh my God, I wanna vent, but positively this time. Things worked out. I went to 1,000 pounds. Life is pumping. I'm feeling good." They don't do that one, right? It's so wrong for people to do that. Like, you need to stop doing that, guys, because you make the next person feel shitty about themselves. Like, I've been great all this time. You come, you vent, and then, but when things are positive and you'd rather spend that time with other people.
Right.
That also affects the next person.
You know what it's
don't
like,
do
you know what
that.
it's like.
Let's just take a quick break and
Okay.
we just need to change like the recording. Just start afresh. It's full.
Alright.
So, but apart from that, for the real talkers out there, as you can hear that, hey, the convo is actually like touching on a whole lot of factors. Because as you have seen that we have also touched on spirituality, how depression actually contributes to like your spiritual life, and there's a lot, man. There's a lot. But apart from that, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button on YouTube, and you can also follow us on our social media platforms using the hashtag realtalkwithakay, or you can just search for @the_people's podcast. But apart from that, we'll be back after this short break. Don't go anywhere. Really. And we are back again, guys, as we are still continuing with our episode for depression and anxiety, as we're trying to find out like the problems are actually contributing to this pandemic that's there within our communities. Because these things are a pandemic, like you said, or suicide. Like at the moment, Bokas, it's more like a trend. Everyone seems to be like, okay, I just want to try. So like, before we actually jump back to our conversation, let me just remind the real talkers once again to please hit that subscribe button and also click that follow button there by Spotify. And you can also find us on our social media platforms. On Instagram, it's @the_people's_podcast, and on Twitter, it's @the_people's podcast. And then you can also visit our website. It's realtalkwithakay.wordpress.com. That's where you'll find the transcripts for the episode that we are doing here. It's more of our blog. But apart from that, guys, welcome back from our short break. Hey, so let me just open up our second part of the conversation with this question. Like, we've been talking about depression and how it is, like how it tends to appear like across individuals, different individuals. So I just want to find out for young guys, like, what are some of the types of depressions that are out there? For instance, earlier on, just before we went to the break, you were talking about what's this postnatal, it's postnatal depression.
PTSD.
Yeah, PTSD.
Oh no, PTSD is
It's
post-traumatic.
Yeah, post-traumatic stress disorder, and that's when Kebo Rambo usually and those soldiers.
Yeah.
Yeah, or people who were in accidents usually.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know that.
So like,
Postnatal.
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
for someone like, who communicating right now, it's more like depression. But people don't actually understand that there's actually like different kinds of depressions. you know. Honestly, when you go to see a specialist, they be like, okay, this is light. You can still do this to like. So like I just wanted to find out if like you are aware of like any types of like depressions that are out there, like. As we have phones here, guys.
Personally, I didn't know of the different kinds. I don't think. Yeah, I just didn't pay much attention to the whole notion of depression. I was just very uninterested.
I mean, I know mostly they are post
Yes.
natal depression.
Yeah.
What's happening there?
What happens when you have postnatal?
Because some of us, you know, will never even.
In most cases, I don't know, but if I'm not mistaken, and this is just an assumption, please correct me if I'm wrong. It's mostly with regards to events during pregnancy and also after pregnancy. Like for example, I remember when we did that episode of teenage pregnancy and all these things. We didn't dwell too much in possible factors that could result in these teenagers being depressed at a very young age and so on and so forth. Some of them, I remember one time where, almost me with my occupation, there was a time where I started asking questions to a certain kid. I was like, so are there any other chronic medications that you're taking? And she was like, yes, but they're not in that. And I was like, okay, so please specify chronic medication that you're taking. And she said that she is taking antidepressants. And my colleague was like so taken aback. She's like, dude, you're in school and you're already taking antidepressants. Why? What's wrong? And then she started explaining that she once went through something like, should I say rape or molestation and all that, like
Sexual assault.
Right. So it affected the entire thing, or the entire, should I say, her entire dynamic with regards to that particular thing. So maybe, and this is an assumption, maybe there are women out there that were not ready for pregnancy or already knew that the person whom they are going to have a kid with is not the ideal person or will not step up or something like that. And as a result, it builds up stress and possibly even puts them under depression. But for them to even survive even after the pregnancy still remains a question as to whether is this thing still in their minds when they see their child or not. So maybe the child brings a lot of memories into the fray that they are not aware of or that they are not ready for. But it's just an assumption. I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. But it's just an assumption that I managed to accumulate.
You're actually right. Like most women that go through postnatal, and every time they look at their kid, it's like a constant reminder that you fucked up.
Okay.
Yeah, you are in deep shit. Like you would look at your kid and be like, I so badly want to be those parents that you see in TV where they love their kids so much, but when I look at mine, I don't feel nothing. Like to me, I wish I could just literally return it to wherever I got it. Because like you look at it and be like I want to love you, I want to hold you, I want to play with you, I want to do all these things like Gugu Gaga's, but I can't feel like there's a lot of resentment that comes. Like when you look at this person, you're like.
So is it something like the child being a reminder of the blunder, and not the child itself being a problem?
Both.
Okay.
It's. I will use my I will use my experience.
Okay.
So when I was pregnant, I found out that the person that I have a kid with, firstly, was questioning the paternity. Even though they knew for sure that they were the only person in my life at that time.
Right.
And the second thing was that they're also going through their whole societal stigma towards men and them not working, them seeing like other people see them less of a man because he doesn't have an income to provide and stuff like that.
Right.
So they used cheating. Or be like finding comfort, let me put it, finding comfort in other people other than myself.
Right.
So when I just gave birth, I think my kid was like literally 4 days.
Okay.
Then everything started unfolding, right? But at the same time, I still have that thing that I'm pregnant.
Right.
I think she there was a time I couldn't tell anyone. I couldn't tell anyone. It's not a matter that I planned it or something, but it was a matter of saying, so if I start telling my friends that I have a kid, but we all planned on going to varsity, number one. Then how will they receive it? Number two, will they still be friends with me? Number three. And then now, number four comes to say, oh, I'm pregnant. Now you realize, oh shit, there's a human being growing inside of me. Also, I shouldn't stress myself that far because my doctor said if I stress, I'm gonna kill the baby and kill myself. I'm young. Like there's a lot. Like your family disappointment, everything is contributing to this box. It keeps piling. And then now the kid is here. I just found out that he's cheating. I'm like, if there was a possibility of return policy, I would have done that the minute I left off before I can even push this person out of my system. I'm sorry if I put it that way, if it's going to trigger people, but it comes with a lot. There's a lot that comes with it. It's not only happening after you gave birth, but it's the minute you find out that you're pregnant. The minute you're like, shit.
So like, okay, in general, I think on this episode, it's like the three of us.
Yeah.
Like, if I was listening to our conversation properly, that have actually like been through like this whole phase of depression, and we have managed like to find coping mechanisms, because like depression is something that's long term.
Yeah.
You think like, okay, now okay, sharp, I get to eat it. Then after a couple of months, you back there where you started.
Yeah.
So like, I just want to find out from like everyone who's been like through that phase, like in general, what is it like to live with like depression and anxiety too, like, because they go hand in hand, you know, like, and please like also share some of the tips that you are using to cope with these things, because for someone who's a real talker out there, they might be going through these things maybe, and they are afraid of like getting help or approaching someone who's professional. Us actually talking about these things, how we are coping, like how we are dealing with it on a daily basis.
I don't know, but I think and I guess it's just from me personally now, we need to start normalizing just talking in general. Because depression leads to a number of things. We need to be careful with how people talk at times. Because for an example, if you look at, and I'm sorry to say this, if you look at all the videos that Ricky Rick has posted before actually committing suicide, he was actually basically expressing his affliction, but he felt that nothing can be done with regards to his affliction. If something can be detected at a very early stage, then certain interventions can be taken into consideration as to this is what we need to do to deal with this person. Now it goes back to, do you even know yourself to begin with? And that is the big question. To somebody who does not know themselves or hasn't found themselves, even though finding yourself is still a journey, but even though you manage to collect bits and pieces that fit within yourself, it's easy for you to say, okay, I'm not okay. What does Mufengi do when he's not okay? I hate talking about it, but I prefer to express it. How does Mufengi express what he feels? I express it in a more violent way. What's the best thing to do? Let me go wreck something that's not going to complain, that somebody's not even going to ask about. That's my way of expressing it. And once you deal or get rid of that, I don't know if that's such a word exists, toxicity within your system, then you have at least enough strength not to go through the whole entire day as though you're no longer depressed, but at least enough to face another 24 hours. So before we even talk about depression, we need to talk about, do we understand the person who we see in the mirror? And that's going to be a very, very, very deep conversation.
Running away from usually.
Yeah, because I mean, take for an example. Imagine, but deep down to that person, it's trauma. You understand? People have a way of actually have, or should I say, people have a way of crying out for help without saying it in so many words. But I think it's difficult, I guess for us, because we're human, it's difficult for us to differentiate the difference between somebody who needs help and somebody who is actually making a joke. That's just my opinion.
Like I once said, there's like, when it comes to society at the moment, we are at a point where we are even joking about things that we are not supposed to be like joking about, you know, things that are supposed to be serious. Like, let's look at all these trends from depression, as soon as people started talking about it for that week. And then when it comes back, it's now memes like, okay, you see they're opening the room, like the mom there, being like, depression, again, you know, such things.
Yeah.
You know, that's what we're doing in society. So how do we get people from society, as members of society, like, to actually start taking this thing like serious? Because like, I feel like it's one of the reasons people actually end up being like, okay, suicide, because what's the use of me like talking about this thing, and then I know at the end of the day I'm just gonna be a joke, like I would depress the you know.
You know how it is. Like Rufus said that, you know, some like it needs to start with ourselves first. And honestly, this is a little message to you listeners, that people that come to us and tell us, or people that or are very vocal about them being depressed, but have the audacity to be like, but every time when I tell you guys that I'm depressed, you're not helping us. It's because you guys are chasing us away. You can't tell me that you're depressed, and I'm saying, because I've been through that, and I come and be like, oh, okay, what's wrong, or whatever it is, male of approach that I'll be using, and you're like, nah, it's okay, and everything. And once it start getting really bad, you out there like fake friends that please, I'm asking that, it's not nice. Some of us genuinely want to help. Hence I was asking you guys off air that if a person comes to you, or your partner person, let's say men, you know, that we want vulnerable men to come to us and tell us, oh, today I had, but we really don't know what to do with that information.
Will Smith, for instance.
That one is going through flames.
Let's start there. That guy actually expressed everything that was happening inside the relationship. He went on the podcast to sit down and actually start venting about everything.
Will Smith.
Okay.
With Jada Pickett. He
Oh, when
actually
they were
went
talking
on the
about
red table.
All that stuff.
And then what did you see was what happened on social media when, like, instead of actually taking this thing and actually putting it there like it's a serious
Again, it's a dark humor. You guys are on some dark humor. You guys dark humor everything. And sometimes, really, no.
Yeah,
No.
like,
Yeah,
it's a problem.
Yeah, no.
It's, personally, I think it's okay to find humor in certain things, but if it's a societal problem, it needs to be dealt with immediately.
Yeah.
Because you keep saying in almost each and every episode that we as society are normalizing certain things that are completely wrong.
Yeah.
And what you also said was we need to find a way that best suits us. White Caucasian people, sorry about this, had a way of identifying something that is a problem within their society and dealing with it. Right now, we are reading about certain things that they've encountered in their society, and we come to realize, I don't know, maybe we're going to realize this after a very long time, that what they have diagnosed, which was a problem in their society, is not actually in touch with our reality here in South Africa or here in Africa. And it's primarily because we do not take the initiative of digging up certain things and certain causes that may lead to us being at the state we are now. And it's primarily because we think, if it's happening to white people, who the hell are we?
Dark humor.
You understand?
Yeah.
So we need to think about this in a more holistic sense. If you're going to talk about depression, again, this is not a conversation to endorse this thing. This is basically what we're trying to do is we're trying to come up with a solution that's going to help. Maybe it's helping someone right now who's probably listening or watching this episode to say, okay, I am depressed. I've tried this, it didn't work. Let me try something completely different. So that it may be a solution to someone. So we are not here with an intention of endorsing this thing. We are here to identify it and find ways of dealing with these things, so that in future when you walk out and you find somebody they won't even tell you that they are depressed, but you can already
spoil it like
take
for
that,
your
okay,
mind. Like.
something's not okay. Disetso's not the usual Disetso that she is right now. All of a sudden she doesn't mind sitting next to me. Normally she doesn't want to sit next to me. She's always saying Mufenyi this, Mufenyi that, what's happening? Then I can detect that something is not okay. And we can deal with the problem, because at the end of the day, you don't live for yourself. Just as much as fruits don't bear themselves and eat themselves up, they live for something.
It's one of the reasons I feel like people who commit suicide are actually selfish. I'm sorry for saying this, but for me that's how I feel, guys. Like, because the people we are leaving behind, the questions that they have, you know, like, I feel like you've been selfish when you take your life, like, because at the end of the day, the people we are leaving behind, they start asking themselves questions. Like, what did we do wrong? Maybe I do well on a street. Like, this is happening. Pella, there's this same people tend to use, like, we are not sangomas, usually, you know, like.
And that's very ignorant response to give to someone that's going through a hard time.
Yeah, but
if they don't talk.
If they don't talk.
It's
Like, I can diagnose you sometimes keshebile. So like as Mufenyi was saying right now, we need to be able to start identifying someone towards a whole no man, there's something wrong there. But you can still do that. And then you'll be like, yo, what's wrong?
And they won't tell you.
Because I personally, I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong, but people have a tendency of piling up things that don't need to be piled up.
Yeah.
You don't want to bother you guys.
Bothering, but that's the thing. I don't know.
But will you not bother me if you kill yourself?
Like, well,
yeah. Because I mean, think about it. Let's say, for an
You're
example,
gonna bother me. It's gonna be like, why would you?
It's
do that?
fine, but
You
if
know,
I treat
okay,
you as a
for
vending
instance-
machine, it's a problem.
Yeah, no.
You understand where I'm going
but
with this?
here's the thing. Okay, it's understandable for you to
It's
be
different.
to be vented to by somebody who you guys are just mutual friends or something like that.
Yes, let me explain. When I was talking about the people that use you as a venting machine, this is a person that will come to you only when they're sad. And when
Yeah.
things are great for them, they
those
don't even
people
tell
are just
you.
emotionally
You understand what I mean?
draining you.
They don't even come to you and say, let's celebrate this achievement. They don't tell you that. But when things are sad, you are the number one person that they go to.
Yeah,
It's unfair even to me. No, it's unfair
Can
to
you
me.
vent back to them, to some people?
No, I can't. I've never been able to do that. I think that's also one of the things that I would say. On my side, the one thing that has always helped me, and I thank my parents for this, it's a relationship that I established with God, for me. And I don't want that to be offensive to anyone, because I know it's, God bombing, it's a thing now. But it's not really God bombing, because the moment I started a relationship with God, it just helped me understand myself. You understand? So that for me helped me. So yeah, sure, I've been unable to vent to people, because also another thing, I don't know, maybe it's a toxic trait, but it's always been a good thing for me. I've never given anything too much power. You understand? When I go through something, it's just that thing, and I'm going through it, and it's going to end.
It's gonna pass.
Yeah, I know it's going to end. I don't hyper. I don't make it this big deal. Like, damn, oh my God, I don't do that one. I'm just like, okay. So in this season, I'm feeling sad. Okay, fine. I still know how to kneel down and pray. I still know how to eat, walk out, do whatever I feel I need to do in order to change the space that I'm in. I will let that be that season. I don't rush it out of my life. Like, damn, no, I'm not sad, I'm happy. Because there's also toxic positivity that, it's a thing. Yeah, I don't do that. I just let things be.
Yeah, just go with the flow.
Yeah, just let things be. Everything passes. Everything is a
I have
advice
a
to
problem
people
with
like-
that. I have a problem with that.
With what?
To say that,
Everything passes.
like, just
in terms of how,
here's why I say that. Like, sometimes I gotta be a mom, I gotta be me, I gotta be a student, I gotta be a daughter, I gotta be a sibling, a sister, and then now I'm crying. For me, this is how I feel like, there are certain things that I don't rush. No.
when I'm referring to floating in general, what I'm saying, like when we have problems, or like happening in our lives. You know, we tend to be there thinking, overthinking, like you don't even give yourself like time to relax. You are there like, yo, I need this thing to pass. When is it passing? You start like even thinking ahead. You know, instead of just letting go and see what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's more like, okay, I'm in this moment.
No.
I think that's also a thing that we could have a conversation about as a society or as people in general, is that, listen, things happen to people every day. It's an experience. Exactly. It's an experience. You are not excused. Here's the thing, people like to do this, and I'm sorry if I'm the devil's advocate, but people like to do this, right? When I was a child, sorry if you guys hate me for this, but when I was a child, when I was a teenager, and all my childhood friends, majority of them disliked me because I had two parents, right? It was a thing.
Okay.
You know, like, but to my face, yeah, it was a thing.
Like
It was a thing. Yeah, it was a thing.
What?
Damn, I got two parents. Oh, she got it good, but they, you know what I mean? Comparison. But at that moment, you don't know what I'm going through in that household with the two parents. But because that's the thing. One thing that my dad and my mom always taught me is don't ever say something is easy or hard if you've never done it, right? If you've never went through something, don't say it's hard or it's easy. So that's the thing. If you are unaware of and you've never been in, just let it be. Don't think just because I have two parents, when I have one parent, your sadness is superior to mine, right? Because that's the thing, it happens all the time. People will use, you know, different reasons to say, Mara, when you are like this because you grew up.
For instance,
With
what
both
you
parents,
want.
Yeah.
Like,
it's the same conversation we had with guys
example.
like girls with dating issues.
You understand
It's a
what I mean?
trend now.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a thing. It shouldn't
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it shouldn't be a thing.
Hence I said, I told you guys that it's okay if I choose to raise a boy child in the manner that I want to say that you are not the man of the house.
Exactly. I try to support you with that because in you doing that, you are avoiding putting all this responsibility.
And it's just a child.
Yeah.
It's just a child.
Yeah, okay, and I will also say...
Let's look at everyone who grew up with that mentality.
To say that the father is aggressive,
incarcerated, majority of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they were no partner because
some of them get one abuse ambassador.
Yeah. But yeah, and then some of them, some of them, they're actually the opposite of that.
Yeah,
Some of them
like,
are.
okay,
So that's what I was trying to say. That's what I was trying to say. Sometimes, okay, we're not saying the way you're raising your son is perfect. That's fine. That's the road that's the route you want to take. But if I choose a different route and I say no to my son, you are the father of the house. This is you. I say that to my son, and my son takes a different route, right? As opposed to the one that. My son chooses to focus on school, get a job,
sees it as
provide.
motivation.
Yeah, provide. Exactly. It's just like any other thing.
That's like one of the fun.
It's a mental. That's what I was saying. It's mental state. It's what you choose. Here's the thing: you either make decisions for your life, or life will make the decisions for you.
Sure.
And that's just that. And fortunately, we live in a world that is very expressive, but to certain things, not all the way. Because someone could sit here and talk all day about depression, be depressed, and never tell their family.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean? I would be able to talk about depression, guys, don't be depressed. When I go back at home, I'm depressed, I'm sad, and. So are we an information generation if we are not implementing and practicing these things that we're learning? I don't think so. And I think it is so important. I always say it is important to go back to whoever, the uncle, the history thereof, within the family or within the society. Exactly. Yeah. I always say, guys, for black people, I'm so sorry, but I've seen what I'm talking about. When I see that me going back to and asking information, finding out, it has helped me manage and see things
Navigate your
differently.
life.
Navigate, exactly. Yeah. So you will be depressed if you understand what I mean? You will be depressed if you don't establish a relationship between you and whoever, or repair the relationship between you and
also
whoever.
Also, like having these standards from outside, like we said something about comparison.
Yeah.
You know, like some people end up being depressed because next door, like envy.
How do you let that motivate you in being depressed?
I think that's also what causes anxiety as well. Also, we need to understand depression. I feel like depression is really rooted from
Anxiety.
an event that happened in the past. Anxiety is rooted from something that you know.
That's what I have.
And which is funny. I
Of which you
remember
can't forecast.
exactly. So I watched this video. Yeah, the boxer guy, Mike Tyson.
Right.
He said how he handles his situations. He says he's never been depressed. That's I'm not sure if it was Mike Tyson, but I forgot. But he said, so whenever you feel depressed or stressed out in whatever, or anxious in whatever, take a paper, write down what you feel you're depressed or stressed about, right? Take out everything that you can't control.
Okay.
And then when you're left with things that you can control, then do that thing, right? Because whatever you can control has a solution.
Right.
Yeah.
Then do that.
Right.
Because that way you understand there's a problem solution. So anxiety is rooted from fear of the unknown. Exactly.
Even
So
like
if
making
you
our
can't,
parents proud, such things.
yeah, exactly. But if you can't
Do we
control,
really need our parents' validation?
but the parents sometimes don't even know that they
They
have you under that type of pressure. You understand what I mean? Until maybe you've sat down and had the conversation and say, you know what, Mom, I feel like you are doing too much in my life. You're stressing me out, and I feel like what you're doing is gonna push me to do something that I don't want to do. Let me be my own person.
We don't joke with them,
Exactly.
Like, it's something I've realized when it comes to our parents. We look at them as these authority figures to such an extent that when it's time for you to be there, like expressing how like they are doing things to you, you don't do that, Like me and my sister, we usually do this. Like once we see like, okay, now it's too much. Okay, like y'all are doing too much now. That's why kids end up being depressed. Like maybe saying it joking, and they laugh about it, but they can see
Manipulating your parents.
It's a warning. I'm not manipulating. Like right now, there's no. For
It's
instance,
a manner of approach that you
Yeah.
feel works with
there's
your
not
parents.
like
You establish that, I think.
people
once
are
you
not
start.
hiring, for instance.
Yeah.
When you are not working
Yeah.
at the age of 26 and you're still staying with your parents.
You're 26?
Yeah.
Damn.
Cute.
I'm joking. I was just trying to do that Kevin Hart thing. I'm joking.
So you know how that is, from the pressure. And I think I'm speaking for every guy that's out there, like,
And girl.
yeah, and girl, like,
Yeah.
I was about to go there.
Yeah.
And then she'd be
Yeah.
I did that on purpose. I'm joking.
So-
Okay, yeah.
like, what usually happens, good point in this, so like, it will not be like, I have to sit down with my parents and be like, yo, Mom, this is what's happening. Like, the economy is like this. As though I'm not job hunting,
Yeah.
It's
but
bad.
it's bad.
Yeah.
Because the pressure that comes from the parents is going to be like, you're not doing anything because they just see you maybe going out, maybe I'm coming to the podcast is not making money, you are still broke at the end of the
because
day,
we don't communicate our
But-
ins and outs with our parents.
No, it's fine. Continue.
Yeah.
Continue.
Yeah, because so at the end of the day, what I'm trying to highlight is sitting down with your parents and letting them know like the situation and how they are contributing to it actually helps someone.
Yeah. It
I've,
does.
It's
I've
something
sat down
we
with
do.
my mom.
Yeah.
She's learning. Took us a long time.
Yeah, it does.
Took us a
fine.
long time,
does.
and she is learning to. Right now, she doesn't. She's not the type of person to say, "Okay, you're depressed. You want us to go to your therapist?" Oh, she's a matter of saying, "Oh, okay, I
What's
hear you."
wrong?
She will give you a space.
Yeah.
That's for me. Like I felt like, oh, okay, but first time when it happened, and I'm like, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because most of our parents
They
grew
feel
up
like
in a
it's
very
an attack.
materialistic era. To say everything that in terms of success must come tangible.
Yeah.
Like if you are earning your job, let's say 10K take home on a monthly basis, but they don't see you having a title deed, having or like a cruise that has 7K and stuff like that bringing home. To them it still feels like but I 10K. I can't sit you down and be like, well, so draft it down because it was never established that relationship. But I think also being consistent in
Communicating.
Attentive.
the communication.
Yeah.
Don't just do it
Which
maybe
we
today.
build.
That's what I was
Yeah.
saying, that we need to do that with our parents.
Yeah.
We need to, we need to.
But
we
some parents
need
don't
to-
give a
we
damn.
I
need
once
to.
said this one, our parents, I don't know, jump in after this, but I once said this on one of our episodes, or like, our parents are actually recovering from their own generational trauma.
Yeah.
And it's something we don't take account.
We don't, yeah.
We
I-
don't. we
I remember
don't
there's
take
one thing
account.
that my father disclosed. It wasn't passing. It was actually after the whole Ricky Rick thing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh my God, I'm sad. Ricky Rick is gone. And my dad was like, whoa, didn't.
Was it when I was at your place?
No, it was the day before that. It was like, listen, no girl, Ricky Rick lived his life. It's none of your business. It's not your place. Don't even. And he disclosed something about him that I wasn't aware of. I don't think any of his kids were aware of. And we were all just like, damn, okay, that was.
Oh, Lord.
You understand what I mean? And then that's what teaches you, guys, please leave our parents alone.
Like,
They're
but-
doing their best.
but-
Most
Yeah,
of them,
that's
they
right.
try.
If
They
there's one
try.
thing, if there's one thing that I'd like to jump into, it's these things. In order to open the minds of others, you first have to be open-minded yourself.
Yeah.
That's true.
Now, that means I personally think it's okay that all parents should be open-minded about issues that are affecting their kids, especially in the world they live in, because the time that they were youth and the time that we are youth are two completely different things. Right now, we live in a society that is extremely competitive,
Yeah.
whereby you no longer choose something that you're passionate about and venture into as a career, but for now you're just trying to ease yourself in certain things before you can make it through all the way in. You said something when you said that parents measure success through materialistic
Yeah,
things,
that's true.
and it's something that has been spreading even to our generation.
We pass it on. Okay.
Primarily because the pressure is becoming so much that even parents, and I'm saying this primarily because I have a mother who's like that, who she would always be like, dude, something's happening outside. I'm just waiting for the moment for you to make something happen for us as well. And putting yourself in that particular position, that's a lot. Because number one, you're venturing into something that not everyone is aware of. It's not easy to venture into something that not everyone is aware of, but you're good at it. You're good at it. Now, you're venturing into a territory that you know that could be fruitful for you long term, but it requires patience. And not all parents have that same patience. They'll consider that as you trying to lazy around.
Yeah.
Especially,
You understand what I'm saying?
I think
Yeah.
this, I'm speaking for all artists out there, content creators. Like the statement that you just made, I think they can actually relate to it much more better.
Yeah.
Because it's more like this culinary schools. For instance, when they're like, okay, what do you want to go to and study at varsity, and you be like, okay, I'm gonna study like culinary. Like we can teach you how to cook here. You're
Like,
wasting our
don't you
hair.
think cooking
Yeah.
every day?
Yes.
See, such
Yeah.
things, they are there. I wanna go and study like, okay, MIDI.
Mm.
What's MIDI?
It doesn't
That-
pay.
that-
I'm
that's,
not
but
paid.
that's the thing. It becomes a question of how well informed
That's
Are
the
they-
thing.
are you talking about the people.
Our parents only know lawyer, doctor.
Policeman.
And mind you, these
Yes.
are.
Yes. And
True.
if you are not that,
But
you are
But as a
failure.
law student, I literally had to sit my mom down and be like, I'm studying law, but it does not mean that I'm going to court, baby girl. Let me sit you down and break it down. And she was like, wow. Everyone in my family, they looked at me like I just brought Father Christmas to South Africa. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. And then when you sensitize your parents about it, bear in mind that you need to constantly remind them that it will take time
Yeah.
before I get there. So it's also a problem because now people are going to jobs not with passion but with the fact of saying, my mom said at the age of 25 she had a car, she was married, whatever. Because even these days they still practice the if you don't work now, get married.
If
You love Akay. Akay is a content creator. He doesn't get paid now. So you must get married or they will leave Akay and be like, hi, what about next door? Ferrari. And you understand? They start shipping us now like we are goods.
But that's the thing. If For the mere fact that, I don't know, but during the era of our parents, a lot from them.
Yeah.
So much so that the freedom that we have now that they didn't have back then thought that every single thing will come in an instant. And it's not easy anymore. Now I have to deal with a guy.
For instance,
Let's say for
Who's a
example,
content creator.
no, apart
it's
from
like
that,
a subs. Like back then in the days, you getting employed by the South African Police Service, it was much more simpler
yeah,
than it is compared to now.
yeah,
Like back in the days, you know, you will just get there looking for a job. Okay, I just run these walls. You know, like when our parents, like when my dad tells me how they were recruited, you can tell, well, these people, like everything that's happening now, medicals, they were not there. Those things, like compared to now, you know, like such things.
And it's really hard. It is really hard to make it. I remember I had a fight with my mom. Those who went to high school with me knew that academics, I kind of had a challenge at some point. So now that I took a bit of time to say, okay, academics is what I want, and this is what I want for myself, and set an example for my kid to say. I'm not saying success is solely all you go to school, but you setting your mind to a certain thing and seeing it at the end of it, it's the success.
Yeah.
So we had a fight about exams. What she was telling my sister that you did bad and everything else. I was like, have you ever went to school in this day and age, and sat down and looked at whatever that's happening in these books and see what's happening there? Do you think you can do better than her? And to my brother, it came across as if I'm disrespecting. I was not. I was solely saying that you guys don't want to understand. Your level of ignorance is the reason why some kids feel like, you know what, if I just run away from home, I don't have to do this. I'm not saying that's
I was
think that's the
having
reason, but I
a
was just...
similar conversation with my sister the other day. You know, like we're just talking about like how most people like view us like in the streets. You know, like yeah, let's go school, but supportive. They think it's all male and everything, without realizing the pressure that's coming from like behind the scenes. You know, like
to say that you're graduating. Where's the money now?
Yeah, where's the money?
Yeah, where's the money now?
You should be here. And then you're like, dude, I just graduated.
Don't talk about experience.
10-year experience. Let's start there.
Absurd.
That itself is depressing.
Yeah.
You're not having to open emails like, and then you find like, okay, we regret to inform you.
Man, I had that.
Yeah.
I had that like not so long ago. Yeah. I was on the call with Thesis when it happened, and she was like, "Should I give you a minute?" I was like, "Nah." So this is her being like, "Oh, they lost and whatever." But in my head, I was like, "How many more of these emails do I really have to go through?"
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
but I think it's high time that, in general, whenever we do talk about depression, does not matter whether it's postnatal or any other form of depression.
All kinds of depressions.
Our parents, I feel as though personally, in each and every stage where depression has been, should I say, consistent. For an example, moving from primary school to high school, there are certain kids that find it difficult to integrate with those who are extremely older than them, and so on and so forth. Then there should be an area where they can actually inform parents that kids oftentimes go through this. Do not be surprised when your child may go through this. We are not saying your child will go through this, but do not be surprised that your child may go through this. And then by creating such platforms that would always call upon parents to inform them about certain things, it would make things a lot more easier now than you trying to explain to your parents when you're at the age of 23, 24, 25, and your mom and dad are probably at the age of 60 something, and so on and so forth, and you're trying to explain to them just the basic term of depression and what it means, and so on and so forth, and symptoms, and so it's going to be difficult for them. But teaching them as they go along with your own journey, either in high school or in other things, it helps them understand whenever you become isolated or something like that. Exactly.
They know that.
Exactly.
They know that.
For me personally, I would try to come up with such a solution, which is from now on, parents, we're going to start talking about you guys. I think from the age of, I don't know at what age do kids start having depression?
No, not
Mine
all
tells
kids have
me
depression.
when I'm upset. See, that's the thing. Also, when
Who's this from?
even now, what I know as this generation, if we raise a generation that's depressed, it will be literally it will be us ignorant, being ignorant to the core. Because my kid will tell you straight that I'm sad because you did this. It's because I give him the opportunity to vent and be able to say this is a safe space. Don't be disrespectful.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be disrespectful too. But if you tell me that this is why I'm angry, I'm able to say I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What do you want mommy to do better?
Mm.
That's how
Yeah.
it. Because if we continue with the same childhood trauma, because our parents passed down their childhood trauma to us. If we pass it down to our kids, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
Majority of us, we're going through. My mom didn't like me, so I'm not about to like you as well. So peace.
That's why I'm saying, to open the minds of others, you first have to be open-minded yourself.
Yeah.
That means whenever you're expressing something that is a discomfort to you, a parent must not interpret that as disrespect.
Yeah, and that's what they do.
And we still live in a society where, even if your parent blundered, and you're like, but you did this. And you're like, you see, that's disrespectful. Because they grew up with the mentality that a parent
Speaking
is
out.
never wrong.
Let me just
Speaking
make
out is
an example
disrespect.
out of us, yeah. Like, how many times have your parents, my parents, apologized to all of us? Even when they know they are at fault, it's very rare. They will just give you cash or bribe you.
Yay. Oh, they give you cash. Whether you are fine, I take your family. No,
No, I'm not saying right now. Like,
Okay.
Right now
like
they
coming up,
apologize.
like
Right now they
coming up,
apologize.
what used to happen?
But
you
coming out,
okay, maybe you get accused, maybe they say you
For
took
stealing.
something, you stole
Yeah.
something
Yeah.
inside their house. And then maybe, you understand those
you
moments?
just took me
you know?
back, bruh.
You know? And then Kamuso by told it, I did.
Mo making ya high, they were telling me to.
And then like, oh, this is here.
Oh, they tell you it's there.
No, they won't even tell you
No,
is it? You'll just see them being like all nice and stuff, you know, like wow, bribe.
If your mom didn't get sorry from her mom, how do you expect her to give it to you?
But I don't know. I
Something
think
we should
for me,
fix.
I
Yeah.
guess I
You can.
sheesh, it's so hard to say this. Even my parents will find this
I hope they watch this
completely
episode.
blasphemous. They don't even know how to
We
use
love y'all.
WhatsApp. But I'm joking.
So mean.
But what I can say is, I don't know, I think I've been raised mostly, and I'm falling mostly to the side of my dad in the household, whereby it does not matter what you bring as a
Yeah.
token of apology, but an apology must come
Yes.
first. You must show that you're accounting
Yeah.
for what you've done wrong.
Yeah.
So if you can't account for what you've done wrong, you're basically teaching me that I can do something extremely wrong and not apologize for it.
And buy a sweet or abandon
Exactly.
cover it up.
And now we
That's
live
why really holding also.
exactly, and that's why. And now we live in
Wow.
because think about it.
Yeah.
Now we live in a society where people have to heal from something that they did not receive an apology for.
Yeah.
Think about it.
It's more like the insecurities that we face even in relationships.
That Akani, people have. We currently live in a society where just because we had a disagreement
Yeah.
does not
It's a
necessarily.
follow-up.
Like for example, remember the episode that we had about abortion and all this thing? Me and T said
How everyone left after that
everyone
episode.
was there, bruh. Nobody wanted to talk
I
to
was
anyone
jailed.
when they
I
left.
was jailed.
So she says, but just because we disagree did not necessarily mean that we don't like one another.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's different views.
exactly. Now people want to impose certain things within other people and think that it's okay for them to live with it when it's not.
I think it'll attest to what you're saying because last week Friday we had a similar situation when we were busy with the auditions
Yeah.
there by training center. Like something happened and then we addressed it.
Okay.
And that was the fallout, like the end of the project, you know.
You
So-
guys addressed it.
Yeah,
Did it
like
happen between you guys?
no, it was not me and him.
Oh.
Like
Mm.
one of our partners
Yeah.
who was there, like they started like just acting unprofessional, and then we started like, okay, raising a problem. Yo, this is what's happening, like
Correct.
misconduct and everything.
Yeah.
And then people just started telling you about like personal experiences, you know, getting agitated.
Yeah.
Like you start being defensive instead of us looking for a way forward out of this, and then they end up being the victim. You know, that victim mentality. So as I have said, like it's something I've realized too, for like to buy. When we have disagreements with people tend to think we are fighting just because we see the world different, and that's not the case.
Yeah.
Personally, and in closing, I know this topic is so long and so broad,
Yeah.
but from my side in closing, I personally believe that we live in a world right now where almost every single thing has a solution to it. And the first thing that we need to do is learn to ask for help so that we can be helped. But it shouldn't be asking for help in a selfish manner, but it should be asking for help in a manner that not just educates you, but gives you the opportunity to empower somebody else when they're going through the same thing that you've went through. So that's why I'm saying we need to start living in a world where all this information that we have, we can use to our advantage. And right now, we just live in a society where information is just not used the way it should.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
That's definitely true.
Yeah, all I can say is that people need to start implementing whatever it is that they're exposed to in this day and age. The same information that we are so quick to tweet and put out there, can we also implement it in our lives when we come across that situation? Because talking about depression and telling other people how to deal with it, when you are depressed while and don't know how to deal with it, it's not helping anyone in any way. So I just need people to expose themselves to healing journey. They need to start it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I just think, you know what? Because I don't want to seem like a horrible person. I just think get in touch with yourself. Be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Expose yourself to many tools, guys. Meditation is amazing. Prayer is amazing. The Bible is amazing. And the self is amazing. You are so much more of a person than your horrible experiences in life. So don't focus on that. You are an amazing person. You are not just that sad face. You are so many other things. So don't give all your energy to this one thing that is literally sucking life out of you. You know, just sometimes doing for others might help you heal. So if you have too much time and you are sitting at home depressed and you keep thinking, just give your time to other people and see how that helps you. Because I grew up knowing umuntu nabantu. So that saying can heal a person. So just, guys, I don't know, find something that can help you. But my advice is be true to yourself, be honest with yourself, meditate, pray, read your Bible, do whatever it is that you need to do. Address if the person that is causing you this mental issue, address the person.
Or move away.
Yeah, or move away. Yeah. If you can, then do. If you can just address, do that. But you are not a horrible person. You're also not a horrible person for being depressed and sad. Like, that doesn't make you a bad person. You're still a good person with positive traits. So you also deserve love when you're depressed. You are more than deserving of love. So yeah.
So in closing, and in summary, to all the real talkers out there and the viewers, being depressed is okay. It's actually okay.
Yeah.
What's not okay, it's you starting picking up unhealthy habits to actually cope with depression or anxiety. These things are okay. You just gotta find what works for you. For me, for instance, whenever I feel okay, I'm going back to that place, I know that I'll roll up a joint. That's my antidepressant, by the way, guys.
Oh.
Yeah. That is one of the reasons I've smoked weed for this long, even when I'm angry, I would have killed a lot of people with my bag.
Wow.
That's how
As
I
a
deal
law
with my
student,
bag.
I don't advise you to say I don't advise you to say that. I'm
Mara
such a
ke pare.
contribution.
Mara ke pare, weed has actually helped me stay away from things that I know for I'm capable of doing.
I can't believe AK is actually endorsing.
Guys, and I just told him
No,
that
you know, that's the thing. Our parents don't even get why we're smoking these things.
as a law student, I advise you to not.
I think what Akay is trying to say is find positive ways of dealing with
what works
depression.
for
Positive coping.
Like,
I
if
was,
you can-
yeah, because right now,
meditation.
yeah,
Spinach is
meditate.
a has to be.
Guys, and when you were sad, please eat. Eh?
Exactly. Don't
Please
deprive
eat.
yourself.
Oh,
You know, you said something about like you when you are frustrated,
Mm.
going out and starting like smashing stuff. Like
I
you know,
see.
you won't be inflicting pain to
Mm.
them. That's a coping mechanism.
sure.
There are people who believe like in climbing buildings and start like screaming out like on top of their voices until they are okay. Like
Yeah.
even crying, you know, like.
And sleeping. Yeah.
One of my friends actually, that's how they cope with their treatments, like how they are treating this whole like anxiety thing.
Yeah.
Like whenever they feel worried, they'll just go inside the room, bow their head, they start talking to God, praying. And then
Who's
after
that? We should be friends. Yes.
I think you have
That's how you do it. And it goes away. Like prayer is amazing.
Sawa.
Even when you pray, like prayer is
Africana is a
amazing.
woman, by the way. It's a woman. You
Yeah,
know,
prayer is
African better to
amazing.
find us.
Prayer also varies, guys. You could talk to
Very.
God, you could talk to yourself, you could talk to the universe, but it's letting out.
Yeah.
Letting out.
Like even
Yeah.
meditation is actually like a prayer alone itself.
Exactly.
So, but apart from that, guys, I would like.
What?
It's it.
Meditation doesn't work for you. Maybe you haven't tried that right meditation,
Ah.
accidental meditation.
But
Yeah,
okay,
when
guys.
your mom I pay.
Don't worry.
Alright.
Apart from that, like, thanks for the conversation. Yeah, it was dope having you on the episode. Even the behind the scenes, I think our Patreon community on this one, yeah, ne? They're gonna enjoy the behind the scenes. Ne?
That's behind the scenes.
I did it.
Oh my goodness, no.
I just
no,
wanna-
Nah, it's exclusive. I say a man lemon. I say a man lemon. Yeah, it's for paying viewers. You know, those paying viewers.
Let's talk about shares after
Okay, no.
Nah. But apart from that, like, guys, once again, thanks for everyone who took their time to be here. Like, I'm referring to the team and my co-hosts. Like, you took time out of your busy
Thanks.
schedules to
Oh,
actually come
finally he made
and
it.
address this social issue, like mental health, because it's something that's a challenge in our community, guys. But apart from that, to all the real talkers out there, yeah, it's been an honor chilling with you, like doing what we do the best, and that is seeking practical solutions for practical societal issues. But apart from that, please don't forget to click that subscribe button and follow button once again. And you can also follow us on our social media platforms at The People's Podcast. And for those who are looking to be guests on the show, you can actually reach out via Twitter, Instagram, or you can send me a personal DM on my WhatsApp text. The numbers are there, like on the description part. I won't even go mentioning them. This is not a TV show, you know. But apart from that, guys, thank you once again. It's a wrap from us. Okay.
Ooh, oh, that was a smooth whistle. Yay!